This presentation is being recorded. The recording is solely for me to use to help for future presentations. And then if you want to be anonymous in the recording and chat, you can change your display name on Zoom. You can turn it to iPhone or Android or whatever you want, and then turn off your camera, and it will show your student display name in the chat and on the video screen. Okay, a couple more minutes. And then the chat function is you can drop questions in there. I've got my assistant Jamie. She'll be taking notes on questions if there are any, and then we can touch on them at the end. Okay, let's get started. So today thanks for joining us, and we're going to go over strategies for staying strong as a parent and finding what matters in parenthood. The general topics are figuring out what matters and what matters most. There is a difference usually, and then grief cycle stages and how all of those tie together. So I'm Chelsea. I am a behavior specialist and a parent, and I understand that life gets hectic. And my passion is helping families find what matters to them, even when life is not going as planned. I see clients here at my office in Manteca and by video call and in their homes, depending on what we determine is most appropriate. I am in network with Blue Shield of California, Anthem Blue Cross, United Healthcare, and Aetna. I'm also a provider for Valley Mountain Regional Center. And there's lots of nuances on each of those funding sources, but I am in network with those insurances. Our takeaways today, we're going to go over what matters in our family, which varies by family, what our nice to haves are, and what our must haves are. And then the yucky stuff is what the stuff that gets in the way in life of what matters. And questions and comments, you can type them in the chat. Jamie will take note of them and we'll go over them at the end, or you can hold your questions for the end and I will answer them in a discussion. All right, so first, what matters? The nice to haves, the if there's times. In my family, the nice to haves are fresh fruits and veggies instead of canned ones, trips out of town, mopped floors, we have pets, hosting parties, we make our beds. If they're, the nice to have is a made bed. If there's time, there's a made bed. Play dates, sports and clubs, and home cooked meals. They matter. They're nice to have if there is time. And then the what matters most is the have to haves, the non negotiables. We have to feel safe. We have to feel loved. We have to eat on a regular schedule. And we have to sleep on a regular schedule, if at all possible. Those are our have to haves. So you'll notice that the matters most, the non negotiables, are basic safety and health related things. And all of these, the nice to haves, are on top of that. All right, now we're on to the yucky stuff, the stuff that gets in the way. The yucky stuff, there's a lot of it. And if you want, you can drop some ideas in the chat for what might be yucky that gets in the way of your families, what matters, and things that I notice: transportation issues, bullying, chaotic family schedule. That gets in the way of a regular sleep and meal schedule for sure. Mental health challenges, also, all of these get in the way of our basic health needs. money stress, work stress, job loss, relationship stress, like divorce or co parenting challenges, diagnoses, autism, ADHD, physical diagnoses, chronic pain, illness, death, of course, developmental delays in our kiddos um, or immediate family members. Those are all things that get in the way of what we think matters. Then we've got our capacity. We all have a battery, and our battery may or may not be charged to 100% on any given day. We wake up, and if we had a night full of stress dreams, maybe our battery starts the day off at 30%. And our capacity on any day is based on our battery for that day. Then we have our grief. The yucky stuff may create grief. We may grieve the picture that we had for our life when yucky stuff happens. So, all of those things, the transportation issues, the bullying, the chaotic family schedule, uh, diagnoses, divorce, separation, job loss, that plays into our capacity. Because if we're starting our day at 30% because we had a stressful day yesterday, stress dreams all night last night, and we also have grief on top of it to deal with today, then that 30% is potentially going to get drained even faster. Briefly touching on the stages of grief, we've got the roadmap of what you expected is so we have a challenge. Like, okay, I lost a dear family member in 2021. And you hear about the stages of grief of denial, anger, depression, bargaining, and then acceptance. It's never linear like that. Even you see the swoopy line of ups and downs. Really what we get is the chaotic squiggle line on the right. It's all of those stages all throughout all of our different routines, essentially. And again, questions and comments, feel free to drop them. So let's talk more about capacity in some different scenarios. So we've got a parent with a job loss and depression. So we've got job challenges and a diagnosis of depression. Maybe a kiddo diagnosed with autism, also speech delays or emotional challenges, and then transportation issues. Already, that parent and that child are starting out on a limited capacity because of their pre existing battery drainers, right? And what we have to remember is what matters. If we'll go back to the beginning, is all of the nice to haves might fall to the wayside. Another example is parent with multiple children, activity schedules, job schedules, and bills. All of those things start, even if you start in the morning with 100% capacity on your battery, those challenges might quickly drain your battery throughout the day. And you have to kind of meter your energy throughout and balance what matters and what matters most on all of the busy, yucky stuff that gets in the way. And then we've got a family with a support system, resources, and opportunities. All of those things can also have a diminished capacity. There's not some stressors that are more valid than others. This is all a very individualized approach to looking at our families, our capacities, our needs, and our children, and doing our best to remember that we are all individuals. And just because Joey over here is able to handle everything life throws at them with grace doesn't mean that we're somehow less than if our capacity is lower at any given time. Capable does not equal capacity. We can be capable of doing any given task, physically, mentally, emotionally. With the right resources, we could be capable. We can be capable of driving all of our kids to all of their activities and having dinner cooked. Like all of those skills we have mastered. We know how to drive, we know how to tell time, we know how to use a calendar, we know how to cook dinner. But our capacity for those tasks could be lower on any given day. This is an example, a visual example that I like is these cups. One has, I mean, they both hold the same amount of water. And on the left, we've got a cup that is, about 2/3 of the way full and it's doing fine. That same cup could be on the right and be overflowing on another day because that cup already started with more fluid in it to begin with. So when we look at ourselves and giving ourselves grace as parents, when we are not fulfilling our own visions of what we wanted to do that day, or why can't I handle this? It's let's look at you can handle it. You have the skills to handle it, but your capacity is diminished. That's okay. That is life. We have to remember what matters most. And do we feel safe? Does our family feel safe, as safe as possible? Are we eating regular meals and snacks? Are we feeling loved and making each other feel loved? And do we have a regular sleep schedule? Those are the necessities for a safe life, and that's what matters most. And change is okay, and what matters changes, and what matters most tends to stay the same. My child is spicy, and when we were potty training her, she was about 3, and she wasn't the fastest at potty training. She was motivated, but not the most efficient. And what mattered was at 3 was of course the feeling safe, feeling loved, regular sleep and food schedules, but there were also childcare arrangements that mattered a lot because I needed to work. There was potty training, like that was a big deal because we were already deep into the midst of potty training. So I had to make sure, where do we have our little travel potty? Do we have the wipes? And if she needs to go poop, do we have the pull up? Like that kind of thing. That was all, those mattered more than they matter now when she's 7. They mattered a lot at when she was 3. Her learning to communicate was a big thing. We had lots of tantrums around delayed communication and or developing communication. And so the yucky stuff when my kid was 3 were potty accidents, tantrums, and daycare closures on the days that I needed to work. That stuff got in the way quite a bit more than it does now. She's potty trained. She's 7. We don't have as many tantrums. Now we're learning more, the social nuances and learning to communicate on a higher, more social school skills level. And then the childcare arrangement, she's in school. So I have as long as she's well, I have her school hours that are pretty much, we don't have school closures around here typically, knock on wood. So, those are not, the yucky stuff is different now. And got through that, pretty quickly. Um, Discussion time. If you have anything you wanted to talk about, this is the time. You can drop it in the chat or unmute and ask. Um, and then we've got more Zooms. My goal for these is for them to be useful, helpful, easily actionable for everybody, and to start off the week on a Monday morning with some good positive information. And hopefully everybody can get uh, some validation that everybody's doing great. You're all doing great. So we've got the next session is December 11th, and it's connecting with your kid. Then we've got practical supports and understanding your child's behavior, parenting with heart, and emotional skills for kids. And they're all going to be centered in this compassionate, we're all human doing our best kind of strategies. And I hope you enjoyed this. Oh, let's see. Hold on. Sutter Health Plus insurance, I would need to run the benefits because specifically I'm not specifically in network with Sutter, but I do know that some of the plans that I have, like Magellan and Optum, sometimes those cross over. So if you want to email Chelsea at Burgos Behavior, yes, it's Optum, then yes, I am in network with Optum. So yeah, you can set up a call if you would like to. Yeah, and I can drop my Calendly link in here somewhere. Let me pull it up. And just to clarify, the insurance piece is it's very plan dependent, and because I'm a behavior analyst, the different codes that I can bill on insurance are different than therapy codes. Um, so it gets a little bit, it's not complicated, it's just detailed, and we can take care of that for you. But just be aware that sometimes, I mean, the plans vary quite a bit as far as what is covered coverage and who can bill what codes. So mine are not the same as like a talk therapist codes, unfortunately. Let me, if you guys would like to chat, and then it doesn't just have to be about being interested in services. Like my goal is to help spread resources as much as possible. So um, feel free to use that Calendly link and book a call, 15-minute phone call, and we can, if I have resources, I will share them, even if you're not looking for ongoing services. All right. So again, this is you can sign up for future sessions at burgosbehavior.com. There's a tab for free Zoom sessions, and um, hopefully this was helpful. Just remember, what matters changes, but what matters most tends to stay the same. So if you're having a rough day, look at, did I eat? Did I sleep? Did I drink water? Do I feel loved? Do I feel safe? And if the answers to any of those are no, then that's the sign of, okay, well, my capacity is diminished. I'm capable of handling all of these things, but at this time, my capacity to handle them is what is in the way. That helps be a little bit more gentle to yourself. Is there anything else anyone wanted to talk about? Well, that's all I had. So I hope this is a good start to your week. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope you have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, Chelsea. I'm a public health social worker, so I was just looking for
Great.
a few tips to maybe share with parents. And the main takeaway is, I think, what matters most. So thank you for that.
Of course.